Today, we're going to talk about the art of a game. How do you create assets in your game, especially when you're not an artist? I am not an artist, and I made the art for my first game, Zeroed, all by myself using my iPad. So how do you do this, and how do you get the confidence to go out and release a game when you literally can barely draw a square? Game design is really important. It's what brings the connection between the code and the player. Without a well-designed game, without an aesthetically pleasing game, it's really hard to get immersed into a game. It's really hard to tell a story. Now, Zeroed, I wasn't really trying to do that because it's just a simple arcade game. But as you develop more and more complex games, the more important the aesthetics of the game become. One of the biggest parts of art design and art in general is color theory, and I think that the way to handle this as a novice is to look at the world around us and get a sense of what colors work together, what things in your house can you look at and then say, hey, those colors actually look good together. Let me take that and put that in the game that I'm making. Or, even outside of nature, there's a lot of really interesting things that you can take pictures of and then analyze them and figure out, all right, well, these colors all look really good together. Let's take bits and pieces of this and put it in our game. Now, an app that I use, and this is not a sponsored video by any means, but the app that I used is Procreate, and it's on the iPad. It's a $10 app. It has a bunch of awesome features for helping with color theory and making sure that the colors that you're choosing for your projects all match. So first off, you can look at the different types of color families. So you have complementary or split complementary, analogous, and so on. And you pick a color and Procreate will tell you the other colors that are associated in those specific ways on the color wheel. And then you can create your palette using that effect. And that's really powerful because then you just pick a color and you have the ability to have accent colors and highlights and so on, all built right into Procreate. On top of that, even better, is Procreate has the ability to use your iPad's camera to take pictures of things in the world around you and then creates a color palette out of it. So now if there's something that does speak to you in your backyard and you're like, this looks really cool, how do I know what colors this is? Take a picture of it with your iPad, run it through Procreate, and you'll have a color palette. And then you can take that color palette and put it right into your game. That is amazing, right? So yeah, I think that is a really huge step and a really powerful tool for game developers to consider moving forward. But how do you create art when you can barely draw squares? Well, don't create art when you can barely draw squares, just draw squares. And that's kind of how I approached my design for Zeroed. I tried doing characters, I tried doing enemies, I tried doing cool little things and cool little realistic designs. They all honestly sucked. So what I ended up doing was sticking with more of an abstract theme, and I decided to draw squares and circles and triangles and put them all together in ways that I thought was interesting. And to do this, Procreate's really easy to use. You can just take your Apple Pencil and it has the ability to draw perfect squares by just placing your pencil on the screen and dragging a square, and you can draw circles and adjust things. It's modern software, right? So yeah, it really enabled me to create something that worked for what I was doing. So that's the base of the game, was those types of things. But also I had these artistic kind of backgrounds to the game. So if you played the game, you'd seen there's a city scene, there's a mountain scene, there's a forest scene, and a few other ones as well. To learn how to do this, I actually decided to take a little time and watch some basic Procreate training videos on YouTube. It didn't take long at all, and I just kind of followed along And, you know, I used the training content as inspiration to create my own art. It's all a learning process, and, you know, we're all inspired to do things but from other people. And I just use them as like simple background elements in the game to kind of give a sense of progression as you're getting to that high score. Because I didn't want the same background for the entire game. So as you score more points, you get to higher levels. And the way I sort of visualize that to the player is that the background will change every so often. So the last aspect of Zeroed that I used for really the art direction of the game was particle effects. Now, what I did was just create a whole bunch of particles for different things. Like anywhere there was an interaction that the player had, particle effect, particle effect, particle effect. Everyone gets particle effects. And that, I think, makes the game that I created. That's kind of the core concept of the game. And, you know, it's not for everyone. I understand this. I had fun doing it. I may have gone a little overboard with it. My wife certainly thinks so. She told me it was way over the top and too confusing, but it's what I liked. I enjoyed it. I had fun making it, and I'm happy to show you guys in more detail what I did. Leave a comment below if you think that's useful, and I'll make a video in the future on that topic if you think so. Anyway, this has been great. I hope you got something out of this. I know it's a little bit untraditional for what this channel has been, but I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.